Okay, hey everybody, welcome to the inaugural podcast episode of Pawn Shop of Life. It's called Pawn Shop of Life because we like to talk about everything and don't want to limit ourselves to one particular topic. So we're going to talk about everything. On our initial episode, we're going to talk about video games and veteran affairs stuff. We're going to be talking about one of our favorites, Diablo IV, and we're going to talk about the Veterans Affairs process and thoughts and ideas on how it went for me and one of my co-hosts. I am your host, Brad BCG. My mostly permanent co-host here is Baby Kangaroo, and we have our part-time co-host, Tammy B48. How y'all doing this afternoon?
Doing pretty good.
Doing real good.
All right, good deal. Okay, so I am a longtime Diablo player. I've played Diablo since Diablo 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I have plenty of experience and been playing Diablo 4 since it launched a little over a year ago now. My wife has been playing for probably close to a year, and then Baby Kangaroo just started playing a couple months ago.
I'm not even sure it was a couple of months ago. I think it was probably 3 weeks or something like that.
All right, so since you're the newest, then what are your thoughts and ideas on the game so far that you've liked, dislike? What do you think of the whole thing?
If you have epilepsy, don't play it.
Well, that's a good way to start, that's for sure. For any of our epilepsy people out there, make sure you turn off the strobe.
Beware of flashing lights.
It has a lot of flashing lights. That being said, no, I enjoyed it a lot. It's a lot of fun. I've played a number of different online video games, New World, and also a text-based one, Gemstone. And right now, Diablo is probably my favorite, but I'm, sort of fickle. So next week might be a different thing.
Well, I can certainly understand that. I still think the game was made by therapists. I think therapists got involved when they made this game. Blizzard, when they wasn't playing grab ass with all of their employees, they went to a therapist and said, hey, what can we do to get people hooked? And I think they come up with about 50,000 different ways to make you get hooked and love it and hate it all at the same time. Tammy, what do you think about it so far since you've been playing close to a year maybe?
I like it. It's a good way to pass the time and hang out with some friends.
Kind of mindless?
Yeah, pretty mindless.
All right. I kind of feel that way myself. Like I said, I've been playing about a year. It does feel kind of mindless as someone just to have something to do. I think you'd have one of the less involved character builds, which she's playing a Necro with a Blood Surge, so a couple of button hits, and then you go to town, and then Baby Kangaroo is playing Spiritborn with the Quill Volley variant, which currently sits at the S+ tier off of Max Roll, and I believe you just hold down about 5 buttons and then click around with the move button.
He's a wrecking crew. Yeah. I don't really have to think about it a whole lot.
Yeah, for y'all, we're actually in season 6 right now. This is just the beginning of the year, so it's just January, and the new season 7 comes out on the 21st, I think it was, that I was reading earlier. So we got to look forward to that, see what kind of nerfs that they go through, which we all expect the Quill Volley and Spiritborn in general just to be nerfed into the ground, which is probably a good thing, considering they've run...
Hey.
I know you enjoy it, and it's easy for you, but when they run tier 150 pit in less than 2 minutes, if you're maxed out to the gill, that's a little ridiculous.
Don't be hating.
I think there's a lot of people that's going to hate on it.
Then they should build a Spiritborn.
What happens when they nerf it in the ground? What are they going to do then?
I don't know. I'm not playing a Spiritborn next season.
What are you going to play? Have you made up your mind?
Yeah, we talked about this. I'm going to play a Barbarian. Tammy's going to play a Spiritborn since they're going to nerf it into the ground.
And try to figure out how to make it work all over again. I think I'm a little TBD. I think we talked about that before. I'm going to maybe just build something and wait a week and see what happens, because I always pick the wrong build. Whenever the Druid was the best, I think I picked Barbarian and he sucked at the time. Then I picked Barbarian and something else was good. So it's always aggravating for me because I don't ever seem to have the right mindset to pick anything that's actually going to be good. Sorry for all you Druid players out there, because I think Druid's at the bottom of the list. Rogue was pretty fun, though. You don't have any alternate characters, right?
Well, you know the story behind that.
Oh, do tell. What happened?
So B-Rad leveled up my main character a whole lot, set me to tier 4.
What tier were you on before?
I was on normal or easy, whatever it was.
Murdering everything happily.
Yes, they got me some good equipment, and then they logged off. Didn't tell me I needed to go back to town and change my difficulty. So consequently, every time I steps outside of town, one shot dead, one shot dead, one shot dead. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I was like, okay, no, this is not going to work. So I created another Spiritborn because Brad had gone in and changed a bunch of stuff that I had set up when they were here one night. And I thought that was the cause of it. But as it turns out, that didn't have anything to do with it because you can kind of jack up a Spiritborn build and it still works really well.
In case y'all haven't figured it out yet, he didn't change the world tier lever back down from 4 because he was on the normal one, killing everything pretty easy, and then all
You
of a
didn't
sudden,
tell me.
well, there was only a way to see.
I'd only been playing like 2 days.
Made an entirely
Such a
new.
noob.
Such a noob. Made a whole new character. It's like I'm still kicking butt, and then came back at some point later and realized he actually had mythics on his original character, but he was still trying to level everything up. We was just trying to teach him the ropes, and yeah, he had to build a whole nother character.
It worked out fine.
Yeah, I think it did. I think it did too.
Except he's a ginger now.
You like gingers, we do not. They are soulless beings.
Which is funny because you're a ginger.
I am not.
Yeah, whatever.
I am not a ginger. There might be a reddish tint to my beard, but there is no reddish anywhere else.
That makes you a ginger.
No, it doesn't. No blondes or gingers. What about you, babe? Tell us about your necromancer blood surge. How do you like it?
I love it. I've always loved the necromancer. I started on one of the seasons a while ago using the necromancer, and it had a really awesome build with some cool gear and stuff that the season was dropping. And then, of course, as soon as the next season came out, they nerfed it all, and none of it worked. So had to completely rebuild the character, but now it's good.
And you're doing blood surge, right?
Yes,
How hard is that for you to play?
not hard at all. Once I figured out how to do it.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know,
You
blood.
just mash all the buttons at one time, hold them and run around.
I do not.
No, there's actually a little bit of strategy involved because you have to stutter step for it to make it work right. But it still works out pretty good. It's not going to get you anywhere in world tier or pit tier 100, but it's easy to run around and murder everything in the Helltides and regular dungeons, which they've changed with season 6. So that was a new thing.
We did what, tier 95?
I think we did.
We did, and we made it, but not in the actual time limit. We had like 5 seconds over. So we didn't get to level up our glyphs, but we killed everybody. But it was touch and go there for a little while.
Was that when I was on my druid? Was my druid still in the process of being rebuilt?
I mean, you have like 9 characters, right?
I do.
think we did it on your druid. I think we did it on your barb.
That must have been when I think you finally died with your Spiritborn.
I might have.
I think that's
I
when
might
you-
have. I mean, he
yeah.
died a lot starting out.
Yeah, I think Tammy, you died, and then Baby Kangaroo died, and then I had that took all the time that we had left because we were struggling a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, because you lose 30 seconds each time somebody dies.
30 seconds the first time, then it goes to like 60.
Ouch.
Yeah, so you're penalized if you're dying in the pit. So for those of you who know, don't die in the pit. It's not a good thing.
That's why when you're leveling up companions, you tell them just to stay at the beginning.
I mean, I'm soloing pits at 85 now.
Yeah, but you're a Spiritborn. That's cheating. We'll see about next season. We don't have long. We got about
A week?
We got about 2 weeks. We got 19 days. Today is the 2nd of January. So yeah. So we're gonna see how that goes. I haven't looked up. I looked up a little bit yesterday to see if there was any pre-builds, and it looks. I think you said you looked it up a little bit. Pre-builds for season 7 for the PTR, which is the public test realm. Still looks like Spiritborn's going to be top dog.
Yeah, I mean, they still say they're number one and Barbarian's number two. But like you and I talked about earlier, that's subject to a lot of change, the fickleness of Blizzard.
Yeah, and since it's a test realm, of course, it's still in testing phase, so there's no telling what changes they're going to make. And we do all of our builds off of maxroll.gg, which is it's not the best, but it gets you about 75% of the way up to trying to get to the absolute best. And as some of you, if y'all don't know, they created the S tier plus just because of the Spiritborn, and the top 5 builds are all Spiritborns in the S tier plus. And you finally get into a Mighty Throw Barbarian, and it looks like 3 rogue builds, which I'm really surprised seeing, because I don't recall any one of those being an S tier, which is Rapid Fire, Twisting Blades, and Rain of Arrows.
Are those for the new season or that?
No, that's what they have for the current season. But like I said, I do have a rogue, but I do the Dance of Knives rogue build that they have, so it does real good on World Tier 4, just speed running everything. So you don't have any drawbacks, or it's probably the best one to speed run the tributes that you get to go do in the little Undercity thing. So that helps, and doesn't matter what kind of tribute that you actually offer to it, because the mythic ones are really low on time. I think they start with like 35 or 45 seconds, and you got to play keep up the whole time. So
I'm going to quote Tammy last night. I want more mythics.
I want some purples. But beware of that build on the rogue if you get motion sickness or don't like to watch things spin around, because it spins around in circles. So just be wary of that.
You're supposed to be watching your screen. Why are you watching mine? All I do is watch the tiny little mini map up at the top
You
right.
do know that we can see your character, right?
You can't. You're at the house. Well, I guess you can see my character. Yeah, sure, on your screen, but you shouldn't be looking at my character.
If we're in the same room.
Your character, you don't have much room to talk with the way your lion thing jumps all around. That doesn't work.
Yeah, I know.
You're always teleporting, so that's not what jump, twirl, tail whip, go again, jump, whirl. There we go, all the time.
And then there's, I don't even know what it's called, the thing that goes off about every 20 seconds. It's
the serpent, or
the green, the centipede.
The centipede, jumps up from the ground and spits venom all over the place. Yeah, those are, that's still fun to watch. I think I turned off all the strobing. Did you turn off any of the strobing?
No.
Or do you still have screen shake and stuff like that?
Yep, all of it. I haven't changed anything from the default settings on that.
No.
Just some of the audio settings, because,
Yeah, I think I play a little too much, so I had to turn off the strobing and the screen shake. And since I play on Xbox, the vibration, just because I don't need all that. The graphics are great though compared to Diablo 3. You never played
Diablo 3, so I can't comment on that.
I started on Diablo 3, and it was a blast, and we loved it. And then when Diablo 4 came out, it was a completely different interface. Everything looked different. And when you go back to Diablo 3, it looks like you're playing on a cartoon.
Yeah, they did a really good job on Diablo 4 with the graphics and just the way that it looks. And Baby Kangaroo, you did not play the original. Well, you went through the story, but you only came in on the expansion.
Correct.
Did you pay attention to the story in the first one?
I mean, I did, yeah.
Did you pay attention to the Spiritborn story?
Well, yeah, because I killed Lilith pretty quickly, and then it seems like the Spiritborn story took me even longer to do than the Lilith story. And I liked the Spiritborn story. I thought it was good.
I think that was one that I skipped. I think Tammy, did you pay attention to the story?
I paid attention to the Spiritborn story.
You didn't pay attention to the Lilith one?
No.
Because
oh wait, that's the original one, right?
Yeah, Lilith is the original.
Yeah, I paid attention to that one because I had to go through that when I first started Diablo 4.
Yeah,
with
to get to the end game and actually start playing. Yeah, I skipped all the Spiritborn storyline, and it's only probably because I was playing for a year and they come out with new content, and I didn't need to see any more storyline. The original storyline was great though. There was a couple of really good cinematic scenes in there. With I forget her name now. What was the chick's name in there? It's not Lilith, right? Or is it Lilith?
You're talking about the bad guy or the?
Yeah, that's Lilith, right? Yeah, she was
the bad guy's Lilith. Yeah,
yeah, she was tearing up everything, and that was really good with scene between her and Tyrael, and the whole battle scene in hell or whatever it was. I thought that was great cinematic. It was
Yeah, the cutscenes are really awesome for the story. It's really really well done.
yeah. If anybody's just skipped through it, I'm pretty sure you can pull it up on YouTube and they'll show you the whole cinematic thing or whatever it was. But the cinematic cuts they're really good. So I was impressed by all that. So I actually liked that. Yeah, if when season 7 comes out, I'm probably gonna. I think we usually play the season. I don't know, what do they run? 3 months sometimes 2 months. There was a couple of short seasons in there. I probably will play about a month and a half, 2 months, and then I'll get tired of it because I want to play other characters, and I cannot go back and build another character when I have one on the Eternal Realm and start something in seasonal. So I'll start something in seasonal. I'll go back to Eternal Realm. So that makes it, I don't know, get more access to all the other characters, which I think is fun. Because you have what? Necromancer, Rogue.
Necromancer, Rogue, Druid,
Did
and
you
a
make a druid?
Spiritborn. I did make a druid.
Did you? I don't remember that.
Yeah, I didn't play it very much because I didn't like it.
That was the Rogue. That's when you give up on
No,
the Rogue.
I didn't like the rogue either. But even the druid, I started and I had what was it, the Earth build or whatever.
I don't really remember that you're doing a druid.
Yeah, I've got a druid.
I know you did the Rogue, but I don't even remember what build we were doing. You were doing like rapid fire or something.
For the rogue?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, last season Rogue was one of the top builds because Spiritborn went around, but they did Endiriel's Barrage Rogue, I think it was. You could just throw out your little totem and just stand there and shoot it and just ricochets and blasts everybody. So that was great. We all enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, and then when I started this new season, I started with a Spiritborn, but everybody that we play with had already done their Spiritborn and got sick and tired of playing it. So I got to play it for about a week before I switched back to my Eternal characters.
Yeah, that would be me included because, like I said, it's overpowered. It didn't make it fun. Made it fun for a little while, and the struggle trying to get to Paragon level 300 now is just atrocious. I think how many Paragon 300s have we seen since we've been playing?
A handful.
Yeah, I count them on one hand.
Yeah, 5 or 6 maybe at the most. Everybody's walking around at 270 or 280, something like that, which I think I'm at 276, 277.
I'd be interested in seeing the formula, how it graduates up from when you first start out versus how much experience you need to get your first point versus how much experience you need to get your last point.
Well, I think a friend of mine that I play with, he looked it up and he said it's somewhere around the 41-hour mark to go from 299 to 300.
Yeah, that's just crazy nonsense.
And that's powering through like pits at your optimum level. And I don't remember what the Spiritborn optimum level, because the one guy, like I said, the one guy who did pit 150 in under 2 minutes, he had everything maxed out to the gill. Like there was not one thing that wasn't perfectly rolled. And that's why he was able to do it so quick. So the optimum is like you want to do the whole pit in 3 minutes or under. So the average player probably isn't running 125 in under 3 minutes because it takes so much to get so much gear and get it all tweaked out. Of course, you can brick stuff and then you got to look for it again. And everybody sells everything at ridiculous prices. Last season is when all the prices went just berserk and everybody started charging billions for everything. So I'm not saying that I didn't make a little money in there and I get to spread the wealth now, but that's absolutely ridiculous. But either way it goes, I think we're all excited about season 7 to see how it transpires and start all over fresh again and do the exact same thing we've been doing for hours on hand. Because how many hours did you say you got in? You've been playing for about 3 weeks?
Over 100 now. Yeah.
Yeah, I have days. I have lots and lots of days in mine. There's sometimes I just don't even do anything. I get lazy and sit at the house and play Diablo for all day long. So it is what it is. It's something mindless. It's fun.
And it's also fun because it has cross-play. So you want to play it on the PC, you can still play it with people who are on Xbox. You can play it with people who are on PlayStation.
Well, that's the interesting thing because y'all are both playing on Xbox.
Yep.
And I'm playing on my PC. So
and you're doing it through Steam?
Through Steam, yeah.
Okay.
And Brad will be like, just do this. And I'm like, Brad, I don't have a controller, man. I have a keyboard and a mouse. So
Yep.
you can't do that with mine. Get a controller. I don't want a controller. I like it. I bought a Tartarus Razor Pro just for playing games because I play Diablo IV. I also play New World, and it made a huge difference. It's much more comfortable than using a regular keyboard, much more comfortable, and it's condensed. And if you're a major nerd, you can go through and reprogram all the keys however you want it. I have not done that because I'm only kind of a nerd. So,
Only kind of a nerd?
yes, only kind of a nerd.
All right. I thought you were more of a nerd than that. You said because you mentioned you play a text-based game too. What is that you play?
I do. I
What is
play a game called Gemstone 4, and it's been around since the 80s, and it's completely different. It's completely different. It's
Is it like Oregon Trail back in the day?
I don't know because I never played Oregon Trail. I know it
Never
seems really
played
weird
Oregon
because
Trail?
I know that was my era too, right? So, but
Again, I always died of typhoid.
apparently everybody always died of
dysentery.
typhoid.
Dysentery. I think dysentery was the big one.
But yeah, I never played Oregon Trail. I mean, it's people are funny when they're like, "Wait, you play a text? There's no pictures." I'm like, "Yeah, there's no pictures." Like, what do you do? I'm like, think of it as an interactive book.
Maybe like Dungeons and Dragons.
That's exactly it, and that's what got me started in it was because I played Dungeons and Dragons as a kid, and when my friend introduced me to this, thanks, Mike Metz.
But you're only kind of a nerd. Mm-hmm.
What?
I'm pretty sure you were a dungeon master for us before, so
Yes, you were.
I think the kind of the nerd is out the
Yeah,
window.
I was real rusty for that. I need to do some more work on that if we're going to do that again.
Oh, we're gonna do that again. Maybe we can find a Diablo campaign. You think they made a Diablo campaign?
No,
for
but we
Dungeons
could
and Dragons?
probably make one up.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of work. I already got enough to do with this podcast, let alone make up a campaign.
Well, what I need to do if we're going to do that again, though, is what's the YouTube channel, Critical Role or something like that, where they play D&D
Oh, on
and you watch
and
it.
they broadcast it.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's actually I don't remember the name of the website, but there was a website where you can connect with people who actually play online that kind of that same way. So like it's just people around the world who's just like, I want to play Dungeons and Dragons, and they can communicate via I don't know, microphone or what's Discord, something like that, and they just sit and they're able to play that way. So there's options out there when it comes to D&D.
yeah. You just got to have people who are honest. Somebody who constantly says, "I rolled a 20. I rolled a 20. I rolled a 20." Yeah, no.
They probably have an interface for that to make sure you can see, so people don't get away with that. 'Cause, I rolled 20, and then I got to go for a crit. I rolled 20. You crit every time.
Yep, he's
That's right.
dead.
Yep, and it's fine if you like Dungeons and Dragons, it's fine because Diablo is basically a version of that. Just everything's RNG, random number generator, which is why you always get the same garbage and you break it down and you run around and kill everything again, hoping to get that one item with one number better. And then you got to roll everything with tempering and masterworking. It costs materials and money, which is basically all of your time, which is why I say a psychiatrist was involved in the making of that game.
And that's why the only reason why I play that game is because I make Brad do all of the tempering and
Yeah. So to go with all the characters I already have, I have to do Tammy's as well. Thanks for that. Why would I want to do the dishes? That's a movie quote for y'all who don't know. Nobody wants to do the dishes.
Yeah, I mean, I live alone and I hate doing the dishes.
Well, if you hire you can hire Lilith to come in and do the dishes.
Hire somebody.
Lilith would just throw them out the window or throw them at you.
Probably, yeah.
What do
Yeah.
you think Lilith was a sexy bitch?
I don't know. She's a little creepy looking.
Well, yeah,
she had like things growing out of her head, and
yeah, but she was. Oh man, she was Mephisto's daughter. I thought.
she was Mephisto's daughter. Yes,
Yeah, so she's a demon.
she's a demon.
They made her sexy. Just leave it to Blizzard, huh?
You and I might have different ideas about what's sexy.
I think Blizzard did that intentionally. That's the reason her boobies was always out. That's okay.
You're a druid, not sexy.
No way. She's voluptuous.
No, she's not.
We've talked. She's
She's the big bitch.
all the druids are the female druids are voluptuous.
Are all of them that way?
Yeah, the druids are.
All druids are that big.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like that was wrong. I feel like that was disrespectful to druids.
So probably never playing a druid.
What? You made a ginger for a spirit born.
I did.
There's nothing wrong with looking at a big girl if you happen to make a druid.
I don't play women. I'm a man. Why would I play women?
Because now you're running around looking at a man's ass.
He's got on
You're looking at a man's ass. No, all my characters are female.
what is the thing I'm trying to think of? What are the American Indians? What did they wear?
Oh, the little
A
thing.
loincloth.
Yeah, loincloth.
Yeah, he's got a loincloth.
He's got a
I'm not
loin-
looking at his ass.
When you can, he's got a loincloth on. Well, thank God for that. Maybe he
Small
should.
favors.
Small favors. Goodness gracious. Yeah, there's nothing wrong. See, maybe that's where your disconnect is. You're not making a representation of yourself. You're just making something to look at.
A dude is a lot more of a representation of myself than a woman.
You didn't listen to what I said. You're not making a representation of yourself. You're making a character to look at and play.
Okay, I just even now think it's weird when a guy plays a chick.
I think, what is it? Very nice. Is always a chick, too.
That is correct.
Thanks for your insight.
No other way to answer that question.
Look, I don't criticize you for playing a chick. I just don't want to play a chick.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I always make chicks, especially on, I got another game I'm playing, Dragon Age Veilguard. I made a chick in that one. But they have romance scenes. So I get to watch two chicks. And it'd take $1 million for a guy like me. See, that's the reason we're doing a podcast and we don't do YouTube videos is because I have a face made for radio. And so does my co-host, Baby Kangaroo. My wife, on the other hand, Tammy, is rather attractive. Thank God for that.
Aw.
She stays drunk, don't worry. That's the only reason she hadn't left yet.
She's out of your league.
I'm out of my league. That's not hard to do. And I'm ugly. That's why I do podcasts. I don't want to be seen. Okay, I think we've talked enough about Diablo. If y'all haven't tried it, I suggest you go out there. You can probably catch it on sale. It's worth playing, giving it a whirl, pay attention to the story. Get wrapped up in it. If you like rinsing and repeating and RNGs, that would probably be the game for you. There is competition for it coming out that I kind of like to try, which is called Path of Exile. The second one's coming out soon. They do have that Path of Exile 1 has been out for a few years, and Path of Exile 2 is starting to come out because they did the paid, paid beta, I guess if you want to call it that, which is kind of like Diablo. I'd like to give that a whirl, but as of right now, how I'm reading it, it seems like Diablo is still the game to go to. But, of course, everything is opinion-based, which is why we're here to talk about our opinions. All right, so let's see. What was our next topic? So we're going to talk about Diablo. Now we're going to talk about veteran affairs, benefits and processes and stuff like that. So if you know, me and Baby Kangaroo are both retired military. We retired from the Coast Guard. My Baby Kangaroo has a lot of time doing search and rescue. He also does that. He did that as military. He's doing that now as a civilian. I myself just retired a little over 2 years ago. Yeah, a little over 2 years ago now, and was thankful
that's
enough,
right.
grateful
You
enough.
just got your second step, huh? Or
I
your
did.
third step?
I did.
Third
Well,
step.
Well, I'm about to get third. Started off as 1, 2, 3.
You should have gotten 2 at 1 year and 3 at 2 years.
Yeah, fixing to hit 3 years this August.
Oh, has it?
Yeah, I retired.
I thought you hit.
I retired in 22.
So you're 3 right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
22. Yep. 20, 22, 23. Yep. Fixing. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So Baby Kangaroo did his. Like I said, he's been doing search and rescue for quite some time. I did it for my last active 2 years. Position came open where I'm at right now, so I get to do search and rescue still for a district as a civilian. So all I did was went home, changed clothes, and came right back to work. y'all want to hear about that, we'll be doing a podcast about that sometime soon because we're going to do a lot of military stuff since we're retired vets. But Baby Kangaroo, just finally this year, you've been out. How long have you been out?
Oh, 08.
All right, so you've been out for a hot minute, and when you first got it, and things have changed.
16 years.
And things have changed over the years too. So back when you retired, I don't think the Veterans Affair was as giving, if we're going to use that term used loosely, as they are now, considering all the revamps, and they finally give them a little bit of money to try to be sure to help veterans and everything. But whenever you got out, they told you, "Hey, you're fine, go on your way," and you didn't challenge or
Yeah, for
think about
whatever
anything.
reason, I feel like now they're acknowledging that veterans have impacts on the rest of their life from their military service. And
Absolutely.
before, and this was not unique to me, I have I don't know, I guess I'd call him a friend, somebody that I take shooting schools with, and he's a retired Navy SEAL. And he was the same thing. He got a 0 when he retired, and I couldn't believe that. Now
He got 0 as a
he
Navy
got
SEAL?
0. Yeah,
Did he do 20 years?
yeah, he did.
That's insane.
He retired. I think 22 years ago. So little before me, and he got a 0. And I was speaking to Francis last time I was at Bill's class, and he said, "Yeah, I'm going through the process again because I think it's ridiculous." I said, "That's absolutely ridiculous. There's no way that you're a 0." So, I think now that the VA is more open to recognizing the lifelong impact that military service has on veterans.
Yeah, I agree. But, I mean, I guess I can say that it's kind of okay because, like I said, you got out in, what'd you say, 08? And 08, and, since I got out in 22, whenever you get out, if you don't do the process, the VA benefits process before you get out, you have 1 year of date of exit to be able to get your claim in, to be able to get back pay. So I think I waited right at the 10, almost 11-month mark before I actually submitted all my stuff. So I still got back pay, which was great. But it's just a whole process, and it's one of those things. So it worked for me, and then I started talking to you about it, and then you got involved, and you were like, "Hey, let me try it again," and then you submitted your stuff, and like we said, it's been 08, and when you tried it again, then you finally got the process pretty quick, was it not?
Yeah, it didn't take as long as it did the previous time, but I also think now with all the web-based application that they have on it, it's infinitely easier than it used to be. You used to have to go down to the actual VA with your health record, and then they would go through it, and just, it was a much more involved process. They made it very difficult to go through it.
So you're saying it's more streamlined since
It is more streamlined now.
you tried it.
Yes. Yes. To the point where even some of my interviews were tele-interviews. I didn't even have to go into the doc for it.
Well, at least they made it a little bit easier.
And for everybody that is in the service and either getting ready to get out or looking to retire soon, my first recommendation to you is get with your health provider in the military, whatever branch it is, and start documenting stuff before your retirement. Go through every single thing. Make sure it's in your health record that there's an issue, because that's going to be the number one thing. If it's not documented, the VA is not going to give it to you. So go through, make sure that it's documented, and then it'll be a much easier process for you after you get out and you go through the VA process.
I mean, I think that they will give you some of the stuff, but like you're saying, if it's documented in your medical record, they'll still give it to you, but if it's documented in medical record, you got a really good chance to get whatever it is. I do listen to another podcast. It's the Disgruntled Sailor podcast. They're a couple. So if y'all want to hear some coastie stuff, there's a couple of coasties who actually talk about all stuff Coast Guard, do a little bit of history, and do a little bit of stuff. One of them's about to retire. From what I can gather, he's an E6, and he's getting ready to retire. And he actually went and did TAPS, and I was giggling listening to him because he was like, "Man, I just went through TAPS I learned so much. And he's like, I should have been doing this and I should have been doing that. And I was listening to that and I was like, man, you should have known that or looked that up before TAPS. Like TAPS isn't great. Don't get me wrong, but you get some insights, and TAPS, I feel, should be the trigger to make you look into more things when it comes to getting out and getting your VA benefits.
Okay, on TAPS, I take it you went through a Coast Guard TAPS course?
Probably. Mine was entirely online.
Okay, my suggestion is if you're a Coastie and you're looking to retire, pick another service, go through their TAPS program, because their TAPS programs are way, way better than the Coast Guard ones are.
We should be able to do Navy easy, huh?
Yeah, you can do any service.
Okay.
I mean, I've known people who've gone through Air Force, Army, Navy, any of them. If they have a spot, you can go through a TAPS program. And their TAPS program is just, I mean, it covers so much more. I've talked to a number of people who've done it, and when I talked about TAPS when I went through it, it was hugely disappointing. And I don't feel like I really got anything out of it. So my suggestion, get everything you can out of TAPS, and if possible, don't go to a Coast Guard one, go to another service.
Well, I mean, the only reason I even said Navy is because, Coast Guard's a seagoing service, so we usually see more Navy stuff than we do any other branch, even though the Marines are technically under the Navy. So that's a story. That's another day. That's a story for another day.
Yeah, but I don't know if the Marines have their own TAPS or if they just use Navy TAPS.
Oh, see, I hope that's true, because if it is, then it's just to show that the Marines are essentially Navy boys.
That's sure to piss off a whole lot of Marines.
I hope so. I got a Marine buddy of mine that I'm going to bring on here and just going to be like, you're technically a Navy boy. That's going to be a fun conversation. Yeah. I felt TAPS was kind of useless. I think whenever I went through it, it was not at the peak of COVID. It was kind of on the backside of COVID. So that was one of those things. And I told the guy, he was like, hey, you have to do these things to be able to retire. And I was like, hey, that's fine. It's like, look, I already have the civilian job. So I told him, I was like, I already have a job. And like, I don't need to go through TAPS. And he's like, okay, well, all you have to do is meet these requirements. And I was able to do mine entirely online, which it wasn't difficult since I already had a job. I paid attention to a few things, and there were some good little tidbits, but it was like I said earlier, TAPS basically made me curious more about things than they were going to teach, even from talking to people who's went through TAPS more than once. Because you can go through TAPS, anytime 2 years before you actually retire. So some people went through TAPS and then was 2 years out, and then they're going to do it again 6 months out just so they can have a refresher. But all TAPS was to me was a launching point for me to be like, hey, I'm curious about this. Because they did, we had another one of our coworkers who retired within the last 2.5 years, and I think he actually went to class, and he came out with nothing really. And it was just like,
it was probably a Coast Guard class.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. But I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm not shitting on TAPS. Don't get me wrong, I'm not shitting on Coast Guard TAPS, and I'm not shitting on anybody like that. I'm just saying that it's hard to try to get everything in. How long is TAPS if you go to it? 5 days?
Yeah, I think it is
like
5 days.
5 days. So I mean, it's hard
and
to
it's
get.
not like 5 8-hour grueling days. It's like 4.5 5-hour days.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get, especially when you know what they always talk about teachers, and that's what the people who are doing TAPS is teachers, and it's hard to try to learn each individual and how they learn to be able to teach them properly what you're trying to go over. Because, it's a lot of what I'm probably sure nowadays it's like a lot of PowerPoint presentations and, hey, here's a link, click that. And you know how websites work.
That's how everybody does education now is PowerPoint presentations and web-based. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one thing I learned from my kid was, so I was thankful for having a kid and learning this, was you have to pay attention to who you're teaching, because everybody learns different. Not that they're, uneducated or have learning disabilities. It's just when everybody learns different, it's hard to learn how to teach you in 5 days when I start on day one and just met you. So like I said, TAPS is a launching point.
Well, that's especially true when you're talking about people who are retirees because they're kind of set in their ways,
What?
and getting them to open up to new ideas is not always the easiest.
No.
I know.
Do you do therapy?
I have done therapy.
Do you
I'm
do-
not currently doing therapy.
What do you think about that? We're going to dive into that in some other podcast because I do therapy.
I think it's a good thing.
I do too. But it's we're a little bit older, maybe from some of our listeners, and maybe we have some older listeners. I don't know. But I got a whole thing on therapy and mental health and stuff like that we're going to talk about at some point in time, especially military people. But there's a stigma with that, especially with our age people and our generations and stuff like that. Like I don't want to go to therapy because it's whatever.
It's considered taboo to ask for help.
Yeah. But
Somehow you're less of a man for doing it.
yeah, I agree. There we go. If anybody has access to Apple TV, the TV show Shrinking, which I think we're going to do a TV episode or a TV show review at one point in time. But the Shrinking is a really good thing if you want to find out what therapy should really be. But that's a story for another day. I don't want to get going down that rabbit hole because I'll get talking about that forever. Because growing up, I hated therapy and didn't want to go. I just knew they were going to lock me up, take all my stuff, and I didn't want to have it. So I didn't do it. But
we could probably make an argument for locking you up.
I think Tammy might be able to make an argument for that too. But since she's never sober, she probably doesn't have a big opinion on that.
Both
She's
of
drunk
y'all
right now.
have adult beverages in front of you right this minute.
Yes, we do.
Cheers.
Cheers! You know what? We're gonna. I hope that's in the
Cheers.
background. No, you don't have anything.
No, not drinking today.
That's fine.
Woke up feeling really crappy. Run into the bathroom so that I could get the dry heaves. Zero fun, but much better now.
I think that's exactly what the listeners want to hear. I'm sorry about my.
It's real life.
Yeah, this isn't real life. It's a podcast. Okay.
So
Okay, back to the VA. Let's not. We're going to get off topic. I want to try to stay on topic. That's one of the things I was concerned about. So yes. Back to topic. The VA.
stay on target.
Stay on target for you Star Wars fans out there. Yep. So you did your process. You submitted. Were they able to? Did you actually have your medical record whenever you submitted all your stuff?
That's
still?
funny, isn't it? I actually do have a copy of my health record, but they didn't ask me for it. They pulled it from the National Archives.
Really?
Yes.
Because I've got captains that I work with right now that are
Making copies of their health record.
well, they have copies, but they said the same thing. They're like, hey, they went to the Coast Guard just changed over from one program or one. I don't know what it's called. They went from one thing to Genesis. I think it's called, for their medical record system, and you're supposed to be able to access it online. It's supposed to be better for everything. Does that sound familiar to you,
Don't
Tammy?
believe it.
Yes.
So it is good insight.
Now I just know it from
Somebody's brought it up at your work before. So Tammy,
yeah,
Tammy's
healthcare
actually,
IT,
Tammy's actually a project manager for.
United Health Group, but we're under the Optum technology branch.
And you do the project management now for the VA.
I do work with VAs, and we do work with that application Genesis. We integrate and interface with that application, so I am very familiar with it.
Okay, so we went to the Genesis program, and one of the 06 that we work with, I was talking to him about it, and he's like, I went to say, hey, I want to see my record or whatever it was. What do you have on file? And he actually had his paper copy. So he's like, I have my whole record. I have a whole copy of everything in my record already. He's like, but he wasn't able to find his paperwork in Genesis, which is the program we're supposed to be going for. And
that's not unique to him.
No, it's not. No. It's not that. It's just that, I got one of these guys that I'm working with, and he's about to retire, and he's trying to, because I've been talking to him.
You're talking about John?
Zach.
Who? Oh,
Zach.
yeah. No, so John in our office, he ran into the same thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, so, Joe.
And
there we go.
He's a former Marine and sustained a bunch of injuries.
Yep.
And none of it is now in his health record, the online version of it. I guess
from his Marine time.
Correct. I think that he has copies of it which that's fine. It'll serve him in the future. But my point is, it's not that the Genesis software is not good. I'm sure that it's good. It's just that the Coast Guard, in all of its efficiency,
Absolutely.
let me just say this: the Coast Guard has the worst IT department on the planet. Okay, that's just the way it is. And if there are any ITs from the Coast Guard listening to me, I don't care. You guys are lazy.
The Coast Guard is a great organization, though, so we want to make sure that's clear. We're not completely shitting on it.
But I mean, the stuff just doesn't transition, and it doesn't seem like there's a sense of urgency. Specifically, like even if you go over to medical, people have told me it's like, yeah, they don't seem worried about it. I'm like, okay, well then you need to be worried about it because this is going to impact you, and if they don't care, then you need to care a lot.
Absolutely. So, kind of know we're kind of getting sidetracked on it because but it all comes back to the VA and the process and everything.
I don't feel like we're getting sidetracked because these are steps you have to take.
Yes.
In order to have a successful VA experience.
Yes, that's true. Absolutely.
Because if you do the homework ahead of time, it's a whole lot easier afterwards. Don't do what I did. I'm really recommending you not do what I did.
Yeah, I feel like my experience was really easy. I had most everything in my medical record. I think there might have been one or two things that weren't in there. And when I did I did my VA claim, and then I hit the submit button because you really need to go through your medical record. You need to look at anything that you've ever claimed, and that's. I think we both got caught with stuff that we didn't claim that we had while we were in rhinitis and sinusitis and stuff like that. As you can hear him snotting in the background. Because allergies
Lovely Louisiana.
allergies, colds, stuff like that. If you get colds 2-3 times a year, if you have bad allergies, that all comes under some sinusitis and rhinitis stuff. So you got to pay attention to stuff like that. For whatever the command master chief came in the other day and he was talking to me and he paid some guy. He was talking about they charge $750 flat rate. They go through your medical record and they tell you, we guarantee you this. And that's all that they charge. Okay.
That's the least expensive place I've ever heard.
Yeah. But I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like, $750 nowadays is great to say, give me all your medical paperwork. Obviously, you have to give somebody, that's private information. But to go through all of that,
it's out there anyway.
Yeah, I know, especially with the China hacks and everything. For the love of God, but yeah, they go through all of it and they read everything and they basically tell you, man, I guarantee you this, and that's it. And so, I mean, I wind up doing my own.
I take it you have their contact information.
Actually, I don't, because I'm waiting on that other buddy of ours who just left, and I might hire him because I'm in a challenge right now. When I did my initial thing, I got 90%, and all I did was I claimed everything that I could find in my medical record that I thought was relevant. And then
but you shouldn't have ever been allowed in the Coast Guard with your feet. So
my feet were perfectly fine when I joined.
I don't think so.
Y'all, if y'all pay, you're not supposed to be able to get into the military with flat feet, but if you develop flat and claw feet, pay attention to your feet. And it's my interview. We're going all down to different stories. So my interview about my feet thing.
That's what this is about.
No, it is. I feel like we're going to talk for an hour just on this. Those are the feet thing. I have flat and claw feet, and I didn't know that was a thing. And then when I was in the interview with the lady, she kind of like was the people for the that interview you for your VA benefits. Whenever you interview with them, that's going to be your big thing. If you write whatever you put in your VA claim for a medical reason, and this is what I want, you need to go to the CFR. They call it the VA Benefits Bible, I think it is. And the CFRs say you have to have these things wrong with you. And she was very dismissive when she's like, oh, you have feet problems. And I was like, yeah. She's like, well, take your shoes off. When I took my shoes off and she looked at my feet, her eyes shot really wide. She's like, oh, wow. Oh, my God. And she didn't say anything else. I was like, ma'am, what you mean? What do you mean? Oh, my God. And she's like, yeah, your feet are messed up. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And she didn't say anything. She's kind of like, oh, she's bug eyed. And she's like, don't want to look at me. She didn't want to say anything. So I look it up while I pull out my phone because I got my phone with me. And I'm looking it up while we're there. And I was like, man, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is this for real? And she was like, huh? And I said, well, my feet are screwed. My feet are fucked. And I was like, when my feet are fucked, my ankles go. My ankles go, my knees go, my knees go, my hips go. When my hips go, my back goes. And she was just bigger bug-eyed. And I was like, oh, dear God. And she just would not talk to me for the rest of the, because this was towards the later part of the interview. But it was just funny on that whole fucking thing where she's just like, oh, shit, your feet are fucked. So and she's like, did the Coast Guard give you medical orthotics? And I was like, no, they gave me boots and said, march. And I said, aye. And that was all I got. Like, I don't know what to tell you. That's how it worked out. But yeah, I think you had a good point. Yeah. For all you people, don't be afraid to complain about a medical issue. Matter of fact, I suggest you complain about every single medical issue because the standard is more than likely not that your service in the military caused your ailment. And it's okay to get hurt or have issues or whatever it is. There's nothing wrong with that because we all slowly break down because on a long enough timeline, we all die. You're dying from the moment you were conceived. If you want to go for that philosophical type of thing, because you are dying, you're getting older every moment that from conception. So, don't be afraid to go to the medical and say, hey, this is wrong with me. As long as you have it in there when you get on the backside of things and you get ready to retire, if y'all want to retire, which I suggest people retire from the military. I think we're at a low right now for all branches. The Coast Guard's super hurting to have people, but
every branch is struggling. Even the Air Force is struggling for recruitment, and that's unheard of.
Air Force is struggling?
The Air Force is struggling. They're not making their numbers either.
Yeah. That's.
I mean, the military basically just sets you up for life. It's
maybe Space Force isn't having trouble. I don't know, but
Space Force. Thanks, Trump.
So doing the VA is actually super beneficial. Not only do you get, your percentage or whatever, but you have all these other little perks depending on what state you're in that can apply to property taxes, that can apply to vehicle tags, all kinds of stuff that gives you extra little perks that you don't think are a big deal until you actually get them. And then you're like, wow, this is actually pretty amazing. So I highly suggest doing it, doing the legwork, doing all the, roundabout with the doctors and whatnot, because once it's all said and done, you're basically set up for life.
Yeah, it does give a lot of props. And that's one thing whenever I was retiring or even when I was in, I was like, man, I don't want to do VA stuff because I don't want to take money away from, I always had it in my head. And I think we've talked about this before. It's like, I think about, it's the Coast Guard, fine. I'm not going to get in that philosophical thing about, it's the Coast Guard, you don't get water unless it's knee deep. I'm not going down that route. I always had in my head that VA benefits were reserved for Army, Marines.
You didn't want to take benefits away from guys who'd gone to combat.
Who actually did something, who was actually, hey, I need you to get a gun and go get shot at.
But that's not actually the case because it's allocated for every single military member.
As long as the government doesn't screw us, which I don't think that there's enough veterans that I don't think the government would ever have an opportunity to actually screw us. But
that's not going to stop them from trying.
No, I'm not. Yeah, that's a story. Again, that's a story for another day. But with your VA stuff, your regular basic VA benefits are there for. It's basically a thank you for serving your country. And I know, I'm only. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to shit on anybody who didn't retire. I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to say for the people who retired, don't feel bad about getting that VA money. Is where I'm trying to go with, because I didn't want to take away from somebody who saw combat, but people who actually saw combat who may have been struck by an ID or lost an arm and leg, they get extra money and extra help for that, which they still get this money plus something on top of it, which is great, and they deserve it. They need it. They should have it. Honestly, they should probably have twice what we get, but it's still there. Don't feel bad about getting that VA money. Like I said, it's an extra thank you for your service, for your 20 plus years to this country, and we all deserve it.
Every member is entitled to it, so take it. It's
Yes,
there. You just got to
absolutely.
do the legwork, which is a little daunting for some people, and it is. It's a lot of work, but it's you're entitled to it, and it's yours. So take it.
I had a friend in South Florida, a retired warrant, and Mike clued me in something one day when he said, "Look, Joey, it's not like you're going to go to the VA and get health care." He said, "You're retired. You're going to use TRICARE.
Yes,
So don't feel like you're taking anything away from anybody else. You're just filing a claim to get the money that's owed to you for the problems that happened to you while you were in the service."
absolutely.
And the VA exists for everybody, especially that does not have TRICARE. I know that there are some veterans that are retired that use the VA.
Yep.
Scott. I'm not real clear on that, but I mean, he uses the one I think at Keesler, and that's basically a civilian hospital because Air Force is civilians in uniform. I'm going to get a lot of hate for that one, I know.
Yeah.
So, but once I got that mindset through my head, I realized that I needed to stop being so pig-headed about it. Do it. Get what was owed to me because it's owed to you because you served. So don't be hesitant about doing it ever.
I agree. Yeah, it's there for you. And I don't know. It's hard to. I don't want to shit on the VA. The VA is great. I think they help a lot of people, medical. But I mean, so you brought up TRICARE. So if you do, there's a lot of people who get out who do 10 years or whatever it is. They do 10 years in the military. Something happens, they get discharged. So they don't have access to TRICARE after that. Because I think we just hit, like I said, this is January, so we just hit 2025. My TRICARE per year is right around the $700 mark a year for me and my wife, me and Tammy.
You're in prime, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, no, I'm in standard.
How much is yours a year?
Well, I'm single, so
That's fine.
I want to say mine's like 150.
A year?
Yeah, but I have a slightly higher copay than you do.
I think we talked about that before. I don't think it's that. I think it's like $5.
For you?
I think I'm $5 more. I
No,
know
you should be
I'm
like
only,
$5 less.
No, I'm doing like $5 more. And
We'll have to look that up.
I only do Prime because she likes Prime. So I mean,
Yeah, I like Prime. You still have to pay a copay. It's not that big a deal, and of course, you still have to use providers that are within your network. But it's not hard to find providers within your network, and they're all civilian doctors. So, I mean, it's totally worth it. You know, you're covered. You know, you can go and get the medical help that you need, and
geez, at one point in time, I tore my ACL and I had to have surgery, and I was stationed in Morgan City, and I was able to find at the time, and I don't even remember what year it was, but it was the lead orthopedic surgeon for the New Orleans Pelicans who did surgery on my knee for the third time. So there's great doctors out there that are under TRICARE and everything. So, I mean, TRICARE is great. But to come back to what we were talking about.
Well, you know why that's the case, though, right? It's because apparently if your physician or a group or whatever is going to take Medicare, they have to take TRICARE.
Really?
Yeah. So
No, I did not
if they
know that.
if they want all the money from the old people, which I'm getting to be one of those real soon, then they have to take it for the veterans as well.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
so most providers nowadays are taking TRICARE. There aren't very many out there that are going to say no to taking TRICARE. So even in Prime, having to find a doctor in network, there's plenty of choices. It's not like, you know, you're not going to find one. And you do have to get a referral from your primary care physician, you know, if you have something to go on. But that also, I think, is a good idea because then your primary care physician has all of those records all based in one place. Your primary care physician knows all of your other doctors, all of your other ailments, and everything's right in one place instead of having to go to separate doctors to get a medical record for a knee, go to another doctor to get a medical record for a shoulder or a neck, or, you know, your primary care physician then has all of those records in one place.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because Brad and I both go to the same, I guess you could say, organization, group, whatever. And it's, well, now Slidell Memorial is owned by Ochsner.
Yep.
They got bought out.
Yep.
So if you go, and I use them pretty much exclusively for everything. So it doesn't matter. All of my docs can see everything that's in there. And that's what Tammy's talking about is the convenience of having it so that they have complete connectivity. So the only way you would not have it is if you went to like an ortho outside of it.
Yeah. But I mean, you'd still give them access to it, so auctioneers can still retrieve your medical
Correct.
information.
Yep, because
And-
your primary care physician would get a copy of everything from that ortho.
Yeah, and this is all important because, again, you may wind up being like Baby Kangaroo and getting out of the military, and whenever you get out, if you do your VA claim and say you get 50%, you can always ask for an increase. And this is relevant because
Don't take the first number.
no, don't take the first number. Challenge everything. And it's relevant because, like I was talking about with my feet, like I said, when my feet go, my ankles go. So I got 50%, which if anybody who's done any research, 50%'s not always 50% when it comes to it. Your initial 50% could be, but another 50% is only going to get you to 70%. And
It's VA math.
yeah, we
I
also
was told there would be no math.
I'm told there'd be no math. We also,
Which is especially good because VA math is not math.
It's not even Common Core math.
It's not. It's common. I think Common Core is probably better than VA math. We also have an Instagram, so if y'all want to check out our Instagram, we do have Pawn Shop of Life at Instagram. So I'm going to post a link to the VA math, so you can plug in some numbers. It's a really easy program, website, whatever you want to call it, where you plug in a number and what your ailment is, and then you keep plugging it in so you can see what your percentages is. Because like I said, they take the top highest one, and then there's a weird scale that they start going on to try to figure it. So if you start with, say, sleep apnea, that's 50%, and they give it to you, you got 50%, and you got something else that's 30, 50, and 30 don't make 80. 50 and 30 make 60. It's super convoluted. I don't know where they came up with it at, but I'll make sure to put a link on our Instagram just so you can see that.
So I'm going to expand on that too for a thought process. My experience in Brad and I both going through it is that there is a high level of variability in terms of
Oh, yes.
what rating you get based upon the person that you get, and then the person that you get when your information is submitted to the VA. Because, and if you haven't been through the process, you don't understand. All of the medical part is handled by subcontractors. The VA does not do it. They contract all of that out, and so you go see an independent healthcare provider. They do all the evaluations, and then they submit all of that information to the VA, and then the VA says, okay, this is where you're at. Now, depending upon who you get at both steps in the process is going to have a huge impact on what your rating is. And I say that, and this is all in jest, but let's just say that you get a great evaluation from the provider initially, but then your paperwork gets sent to somebody at the VA who's having a really crappy day. Maybe they're in the middle of a divorce. They're in a bad mood, whatever. They're not feeling like they want to be understanding to your problems at all. And so you could get a terrible rating as a result of it. People are people. That's just the way of it. That's why I say never take the first number.
Agreed. My first number was fortunately very fortunate.
Your first number was great.
My first number was 90. Now, mind you, like we've talked about before, I didn't hire anybody. I was fortunate enough to already have a job. When I retired, I was off work for 6 weeks before I reported to my civilian job. I submitted it, like I said, 10, 11 months into my retirement, so I'd already been working, so VA money didn't really matter to me that much. But when I submitted all my paperwork, did all my interviews, my process went through, I came back with 90%.
I'm surprised yours took longer than mine did. I started in April, and I got my number in November.
So we're, 7 months?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now, the VA website says like 155 days now from the time you start the process until
Well, like I said,
you should have a rating.
When I did my intent to file, which is what you have to do, which is what you can do 60 days, I think it is, before you actually 60 or 90 days, I forget the number, before you get out. But whenever you have, like I said, whenever your actual discharge date is, you have 1 year to do that. So when I actually hit the submit button on all my stuff, I did it. Actually, consequently, I did it on September 11th, and it took September, October, November, December, January, February. So it took 6 months.
What was your retirement date?
October 1st, 2022. 2020.
So did you actually submit it prior to your retirement?
No, I submitted my intent to file.
Okay.
That's
And
that's the thing. As long as you do the intent to file, they keep that on your actual retirement date. So October 1, I had from October 1 of 2022 to October 1 of 2023 to hit submit, because all you're doing with the intent is saying, hey, baby kangaroo, I'm going to do this. And you know that I know I have 1 year. That's all that is. And you have that year to do that.
So how long after you actually retired did you submit your VA claim?
September of 23. September 11th, 2023 is when I hit go on my button.
Okay.
So
you had been out
almost a year.
almost a year.
Almost a year.
Yeah.
That's
So the question is, why did you wait a year?
I didn't need the money.
Well, that's not really okay.
I know
Don't
that.
wait the year.
Don't wait the year. That's fine. I mean, you can, like I said, you can do it. Whatever. I forget the numbers because it's been so long. But I mean, 60, 90 days beforehand, like you can do the whole process to where the day you retire, if you do it early enough in the allotted time that you are given, you can actually have your rating by the day you retire.
Yeah, apparently, if you have a retirement letter in, you can start the process prior to retirement.
Yeah.
And you can get everything done.
So if your retirement date is September 30th and you're retired the 1st of October, you can already have your military retirement and your VA benefits paying to you on October 1st. So I mean, that is a great option, and that's awesome.
That's what DR's goal is.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, I don't blame anybody. I mean, that's what you should do. But I mean, when I went through it, I didn't need the money. It was on my mind, but it wasn't forethought because I'm transitioning from military active duty to civilian. And that's we could talk about that some other time whenever we start talking about military stuff, because I mean, that's a scary transition. We've got a guy that we work with that has 5 different expensive cars, and he has lots of money because he got lucky in the stock market. But it's a scary transition going from active duty, no matter who or what you are, into the civilian world, because all you've known is military for the past 20 years.
Yeah, I think John wants to kill me.
Yeah.
Take my job.
There's probably more than one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think there probably is more than one. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I mean, that's all scary. And I just wanted all you people to know that no, your military retirement is not going to support you and your family. It's half of what it's half at 20 years, and then you get 2.5% per year above 20. So no, you have to think about that and take out BAH, COLA. If you get COLA or whatever it is, you have to take VAS. You have to take out all that stuff. What you're looking at is half of your basic pay. That's it. That's all you're going to get in your retirement at 20 years. So VA benefits plays a really big part of that, because you're able to say, okay, well, I was only making, I don't even know what an E6 makes nowadays. What, 47, 46, 48, I don't know, $4,800 a month?
I know you're not asking me. It's been a long time. I haven't been in E6 since...
oh, here we go. Now he's going to show his age.
Oh, my God. Let me think. When did I put on E7? April of 06?
Yeah, okay. Now we're showing our age. We just need to stop. Yeah, it's just that the VA benefits there, as long as the military broke you, you get money. It helps supplement all that stuff that you were going to get. And I'm going to suggest all you people, if you've joined the military, so I joined the military because I needed a job. And I'll tell that story another day of really why. But I had all intentions of joining the military.
Not as a legal means of killing people, like
no,
Jack Reacher said?
No, it was because of a stupid movie, and we're going to talk about that. I'm going to make a note off to the side to make sure I talk about my old story. But no, I joined because I wanted benefits. I wanted the Montgomery GI Bill, which is now I forget what they call it.
Post
Post
9/11
9/11.
GI Bill.
Post
Yeah.
9/11, which is actually a great thing.
Yeah, it was a pretty significant improvement over the GI
It really
Bill.
was, and I'm glad we're talking about that because I'm gonna make a note. We're gonna talk about that at one point. No, I joined because
I used it to get a worthless degree.
What was your degree in?
I have an associate.
History, right?
My bachelor's, yes, is in history, but my worthless degree, I guess technically I have 2 worthless degrees, but my associate's is in radiologic technology. For you people who don't know what that is, it's an X-ray tech, and coincidentally, that's what Tammy is too. Even though
You have a degree in.
I have a bachelor's degree in radiologic sciences.
Oh, wow, look at that. There's a couple of smart people because I'm just dumb. I dropped out of high school, so
No.
thanks, guys.
no, in my case, I got my associates in radiology, and then Uncle Sam came calling, and I went back to work because I couldn't make any money being a rad tech. So I went to do what I had done before, and I was pretty fortunate that I got a job down in South Florida again, where I'd been working and I retired out of. But that was when down there, for reasons I still don't understand, I decided to finish my degree, and I told the advisor at the school, what is the fastest way for me to get a degree? And she said, well, you can get a degree in history in 27 credits. I was like, history it is.
History it is. See there, military's got a lot of benefits, and we're going to wind up talking about that. Okay, let's see. We've been talking about an hour and 11 minutes, so here's what we're going to do. You got any other takes on the VA stuff?
Do it. That's the biggest thing that we can stress is don't wait, do it. You're entitled to it. Don't think that you're taking something from somebody else by doing it, because you're not. And when you vote for people who support veterans.
Oh, absolutely. I can't even express how much I want to back that comment up.
Vote.
Yeah,
that's the operative thing.
We are going to get into another podcast at some point in time talking about government politics, thoughts, and shit like that. So don't think that we're not going to talk about that, because we are. Because like I said, we're the pawn shop of life, so we are going to talk about absolutely everything.
Suppressors shouldn't be an NFA item.
You couldn't see.
There's a real big can of worms opened up right there, didn't I?
I think most of our listeners could probably tell we're in the South. I'm not going to lie about that. But we do. I get along with a lot of Northeasterners. I'm not going to lie. Everybody that I've met from New York I like. It's probably because I'm angry, and I think they are too. And there's our dogs. And this is why I said we should lock them up, but that's fine.
They'll be a part of the podcast. Don't worry.
They are going to be a part of the podcast because they're part of our lives.
They're our babies.
And as you can tell, I don't feel that way because I'm the one doing the editing, but that's okay. We're going to teach them how to do it. They're going to be like, yeah, we're going to lock the dogs up and make sure we're in a quiet place.
We'll just leave them in the podcast. You'll get to know them eventually.
That's a possibility.
We'll post photos on Instagram.
Yes, we will. All right. So
not of us, but of them.
Yes, the dogs are prettier than we are, except for Tammy. Tammy's prettier than dogs.
Oh.
Oh, no, don't start getting sentimental. Because I'm going to start getting hateful and just be like, all three of y'all bitches. Nobody wants to hear that shit. All right, so the thing is all right, so we're going to conclude this. We're going to say that we enjoyed Diablo. It was a great game. We enjoyed it. The VA is a complicated process.
But worth it.
It is worth it. Like I said, we're going to do a couple links on our Instagram, like I said, to the VA stuff. You could probably just Google it and find it, but we are going to post it on there just to try to make things a little bit easier for you. Should be a copy and paste kind of thing, and it should bring everything right up. We don't, it's just links to the site, so it's not shouldn't be anything weird. So what we're going to do is, in case anybody wants to,
Brad, to that point, if the VA is not a particular challenge you feel like tackling alone, there are entities that you do not have to pay that are more than happy to help you in the process.
Yes, that's a very good point. With VSO, I think is one of them. DAR.
God, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who charge. There are some who just say, "I will represent you, and I will do my best." It's kind of like a lawyer. They're promising to represent you, but they're not promising you the absolute best because everybody's situation is different. That's the way it is with everything.
before you ever pay somebody, go through the process, do what you can do, get help if you
Yeah.
need it from some of the free services, because they know exactly what they need to do as well.
Yeah,
And if
absolutely.
after all that's over with, if you're not happy, if you think your evaluation is not fair, then maybe you seek out somebody who is a paid representative for you.
Yep.
But before you do any of that, you should do it
Yes,
yourself.
I think you should give it a whirl yourself one time, just so you know what's going on.
So you know the process. And just remember your
Yes.
initial claim, your initial number, you can always come back and appeal for
Yep.
things that, the VA may have missed or didn't, pay attention to because maybe the certain verbiage wasn't right. You can always appeal that and keep going to get a higher number. So it's not like once it's all said and done, that's it. That's all you get. You're done.
Yeah, good point. Like I said, do it. Get interested in it because it is your well-being. It's your family's well-being. You want what's best for you and your family. You deserve it if you hit 20 years. I'm not saying that people under 20 years don't deserve it, but if you hit 20 and you retire, you 100% deserve it. You deserve it more than a lot of people that I've ever talked to in the military. So don't be afraid. Get hyped up from TAPS. Look it up. Pay attention to what you're doing. Try it one time. It's nothing to hurt you. You got a year from when you get out. Once you get your rating, you have a year from that point out for your challenges. So you basically have a 2-year option to try to get 100. Make sure, I cannot stress this enough.
That number's not even set in stone, right?
It's not, but I can't stress this enough, is to make sure you actually have the ailment. Don't try to make up shit. Don't be a piece of shit. Don't serve the country for 20 fucking years and then try to be a piece of shit on the backside of things and be like, oh, yeah, I really got this. I'm not cool with that. Actually have it. But if you actually have it, fight for what you have. Make sure you get your percentage. Get to 100. Get what you deserve and then see what happens, because that's where you should and need to be. They're going to try to take care of you. That's what the VA is there for. They're absolutely awesome in the most respects, regardless of what kind of fucked up shit you may have seen in the past. It's a lot better being, 2025. So, that's what it is. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We talked about Diablo. Like I said, we're the pawn shop of life. So we talked about Diablo. We talked about some VA benefits and some of the processes and things that we like and things that we don't like. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have an after party. You don't have to listen to anything past this. We're just gonna sit on the headsets and the mics, and we're gonna talk shit for a little bit. If you want to listen past that, you can, because now we're basically going to talk about, hey, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And just opinions and whatnot. So,
AKA happy hour.
Maybe we'll start calling that. You got
Georgia laying a big old egg against Notre Dame.
We're not okay. That's going to be a story for another day. We have plans to do in college football playoffs too, and we actually have. Here, I'll tell you what. We're going to go over a quick thing. We've got, so just some of the small topics. We'll go to some of the topics we're going to talk about. We've got, let's see, we're going to talk about TV.
In no particular order.
No particular order. Because we're just taking notes. We're just making things. We're just doing what we're doing. So we're going to do TV shows. We're going to do home gardens. We're going to do a lot about military, since me and Baby Kangaroo are actually retired military folks. We're going to have, I know, Marines. We'll probably have a couple of Coasties on board. We're going to talk about the American Legion. I want to stress that. I can't stress that enough, to be honest with you. VFW, boating safety, fishing. We're going to do restaurants. We're going to talk about liquor. We're going to talk about HOAs, therapy, college footballs. We're going to talk some racing stuff, because Baby Kangaroo's into some racing, and I actually have a medically retired friend of mine who's a Marine who actually owns his own little sprint car racing thing. We're going to talk about disc golf, animal rescue. We're going to talk about guns, ammo, reloading, politics, retirement, other countries to live in. We're going to talk about some things that are special to Baby Kangaroo, which is the Great Loop, what he wants to do, mountain bikes, combat sports, podcast gear, thing that goes to Tammy. She likes to talk about murder porn, psychology, and stuff like that. We should have a really big, she's excited. She smiled when I said that, so that was actually kind of funny. I was glad to see her smile about it. She's like, yay, murder porn. I was like, I don't care about that shit, but we're going to talk about murder porn. And we're also, one of the things that I want to fucking talk about, we're going to have Drunken Pawn Shop of Life episodes. So we are all going to take the plunge And I think we're going to make sure that we all three are involved in this because I'm pretty sure y'all don't want to hear me just get drunk and talk shit. But we are going to have Drunken Pawn Shop of Life episodes to where when we start the episode, we are all going to start drinking and we're going to see how it goes. It may have to be some of the less controversial titles or topics to talk about.
It may start that way.
It may start that way. So those may be, take those with a grain of rice. They may get out of hand. I'm not going to promise that I know anything that's going on, but those are some of the topics that we're going to talk about, and it can always, weave into something else. If y'all want to comment, hey, I'd like to hear y'all talk about this. That's all great and dandy. But what we're going to do is we're going to close out this episode. Then we're going to spend 10 or 15 minutes talking shit. We're probably going to talk about shit about the Georgia Notre Dame game, but that's what we're going to do. Like I said, this is going to be the outro. If you want to hang out and listen to what we talk shit about afterwards, you're more than welcome. I appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you next time on the next official podcast of Pawn Shop of Life. So here we go with the outro. And I screwed that up because it's not playing.
We're still...
Okay, so we're back to recording. If you hung out, we wanted to hear us talk shit. That's great. So that was our first episode of Pawn Shop of Life. Again, we got together. So here's the reason I wanted to create this. Besides having a face made for radio, I actually had a lot of hate in my heart watching a friend of mine who actually does a YouTube video, which I'm going to leave a link to that in the Instagram, but it's Brad's Journey. I know it's the same name, but I actually have a friend that I've been friends with for over 20 years, close to or over 20 years, and it's Brad's Journey. And it's a great YouTube video that a bunch of great videos that he does on YouTube. So if you want to look that up, look it up. But I was watching him and I was like, I've been on a couple of his videos before, and I was like, man, I want to do something like that, but I don't want my face out there. Because like I said, I'm not the prettiest man, but I wanted to do something, and I got a lot.
I can attest to that fact.
Well, thank God nobody's ever seen your face. There's the dogs.
I'm a very pretty man.
You know what? You are a pretty man. Considering, I think we talked about this the other day. Considering some of the people I've seen you match with on your age group, yes, you are a pretty man. And I'm not attracted to you, but I'm proud of you. So keep aging gracefully. But yeah, I had a lot of hate in my heart because I was like, man, I want to do something. I got some creative shit that I want to get out. And that's why I was like, you know what? A podcast would be great because what's it going to hurt? How many people we expect to hear this? 3?
5.
5? Oh, so our goal is 5. So
Actually, 6, technically.
To have more than one hand?
No, 6 people that will tune in and listen to them.
My sister Jackie will. I know
Okay,
she
so
will.
that's 7.
Oh, there we go. So we're at 7.
My brother Rick might.
So that's why we're doing
She
this.
loves podcasts. So.
Oh,
If we have tens of people, we'll be good.
Oh, so we're going to, okay. So this is the after hour show. So that's fine that she brings that up. So, so the tens of people comment comes from a book, which, I think it's okay for us to say names, right? It's podcast.
Sure.
Is anybody funky?
Absolutely.
Okay. So there's a retired Coast Guard commander, Matthew Mitchell, one of the smartest individuals I think that I've ever met.
He's a certifiable genius.
He really is. There's a couple people who
And he's just a good soul. He's just a very amazing human being.
he is. So he wrote a book. He's in the, like I said, he retired from the Coast Guard as commander. He has a absolute shit ton of search and rescue knowledge, and he retains it all. He's very motivated. He was prior Army. He actually wrote a book, and I don't have the name of the book, but if you do a quick Google search for Matthew Mitchell and Coast Guard, I'm pretty sure the book will come up. But in reading his book, which was, I think he co-authored it with somebody. I forget who it was. The great thing about it was it is another example of how the Coast Guard is given lemons and we make lemonade out of it. Because we function on hand-me-down bullshit from the Navy. And we've been doing that for the last 80, 100 years because it's just fucking ridiculous of what we do, how well we do what we do with the garbage that we're given.
Air Force Two, the C-27s, only now they're going to retire them, and we've only had them a couple of years.
Yeah, we had them. Well, we had them. They were incorporating them when I was at ATC Mobile, which would have been, I left there in 19. So it would have been 2018, 2019 time frame when the 27s were getting given to the Coast Guard. So that's how long we've had them, but they're
So
being
6 years.
they're being phased out in the next 2 years.
Yeah, it turns out they have cracks in the wings, and you can't put a decent sensor package on them.
No,
So
they're garbage.
worthless to
So,
us.
so they're garbage to the Coast Guard. They do the best package they have is I don't know if it's like, I know the Helo pilots wear night vision, but I don't even know if the 27 pilots can wear night vision.
That's
I don't know, and I don't know what's in the back because I've only seen one. I went in it and checked it out. You know, it looked kind of cool. It looked like a odd shaped C-130.
well, that's what it is. They call it a baby Herc.
Well, I kind of felt that's what the 144s were.
Well, but one of the reasons why
only because we didn't have anything to compare it to, and it was just like, oh, that looks like a stretched out, not fat C-130.
So one of the reasons why the Coast Guard wanted to get the C-27s was because there's like 80 or 90% compatibility with the C-130J model in terms of parts.
Oh, is
So
that what
their
it
thought process was, okay, well then, you know,
So
we can
that's what it was.
minimize.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Well, now we're getting some. All right. Yeah, but yeah, Matthew Mitchell, Coast Guard. He's got a book. I wish I could remember the name of it, but the guy's he's super smart. So maybe check that out. But yeah, we're gonna do a lot of episodes on a lot of stuff.
He was our boss.
Yeah, he was. There's a couple people who don't like him.
I can't imagine why anybody would dislike Matt.
Oh.
Yeah, I know the person you're referring to.
There you go.
And it's not entirely.
He's not. Neither one of them are wrong. It could have been handled different. We're not going to go into the details because we don't want to say names for. We have to be careful with names when it comes to certain situations. I can say Matthew Mitchell because he's retired. I can tell you about his book, but I can't say anything about.
That'd be the only
else.
person I know of who's not a Matt Mitchell fan.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The whole point of bringing up the book, we'll bring it back on topic, was
There we
Stay
go.
on target.
Stay on target.
Stay on target.
I need to make a button for that.
Which is, in his book, he does say tens of people. And
Oh yeah, that's where we're going.
if anyone had not ever heard of that, I had not ever heard of that as an expression, thousands of people, hundreds of people. I've never heard of tens of people, but apparently it's a thing, and it's just basically
Yeah,
tens.
yeah. Thank you for bringing that back, guys. We're drinking vodka, so this is the after hour show. We don't care now. But yeah, so
Happy hour.
yeah, she's right. So that was the first time we ever seen it, and I was like, no, that's actual English. And she's smarter than I am, and she thought it was wrong. So it was nice to be like, hey, you know what? Just because you're educated doesn't mean you know everything. Check this out. Tens of people is correct.
So as long as we have tens of people who listen to our podcast, we're winning.
That's right. And we're planning on minimum 2 years of this. And I think we'll do an after
One episode every couple of weeks.
Yeah, an episode every couple of weeks, and then we'll do after we do the podcast. We'll
Other
always,
issues. And
Yeah, we'll
time
just-
sinks.
we're just gonna
notwithstanding.
we're just gonna talk shit afterwards. So we're gonna do just like we just did. We're gonna open, talk about our topics, close, and then we'll do the after hours part. So if y'all want to stop listening after the outro song, thank you Apple GarageBand because that's how that was made. Then we're gonna just talk shit afterwards. That way, you can choose to listen to specific topics, and then you can just get the hell on with your life. Because we're doing this for us. If it helps anybody out there or entertains anybody out there, then that works also. But the big thing is, like it was brought up in there, like mental health. Like this helps my mental health. I got some shit I want to get out. Sometimes I don't care if I'm fucking heard. It makes me feel like I'm heard to be able to sit here with friends and family that we all have
You
kind
have
of
friends?
well, I mean, I have one. You're across the table from a baby kangaroo. And then I have family, which is Tammy, because I am a firm believer in the family that you choose, not you're born with. And maybe I'll talk about that at some point in time. I'll tell you.
I can comment on that some too.
Oh, you know what? Then if we got, all right, so we got two people. Maybe Tammy wants to weigh in on that, but we're going to put that as a topic. Family and the family you choose versus the family you're born with. And we'll look up some stuff because I'm pretty sure Charles Manson's family was not happy with him.
No. You think?
The family what he chose was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those idiots liked him, but that's probably that. You know what? That might be a bad reference. You know, they chose.
Yeah,
him
I'll go
as,
with that.
They chose him as family, and you know, as you all know, you know what? Maybe there's some young listeners who doesn't know.
Oh, they
Well,
have
no.
to know. That's been a big thing lately. That's come back up.
Yeah, but you can take.
Has it?
Yeah, but you can take a VHS tape down the road and ask 20 people, "Do you know what this is?" And if they're young, they probably have no fucking clue what it
If
is.
you find one that knows what it is, I would be stunned.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't say anything about Charles Manson because you bring that up because you like murder porn.
Yes, I do.
You know, if you get 5% that know what a VHS tape is, what percentage do you think would know what a beta tape is?
Not many. Not many at all.
1 in 100, maybe.
There we go. I'm using the mixer for what it's worth because it's a lot of money. Yeah, that was I feel like that was a good episode.
You know, it's a start.
It's a start. It is.
The longest journey begins with the first step.
Yeah, we're gonna have to keep reminding you to put your face closer to the mic.
I don't want to swallow the microphone.
I didn't say deep throat it. I said just get close to the mic because when you sit out here, I can actually tell the difference for the echo. So you need to.
I know. We need to get the stand so it's easier. So I don't have to lean all the way forward.
No, I
and
agree with
speak
that.
into
No,
it.
I agree with that. I'm fucking tired of leaning over because that's the reason I'm the loudest so far. But yeah, it's goodness gracious. I can hear the dogs in the back.
Well, I keep backing away because my sinuses are killing me today.
No, well, that's fine. In the post editing, I'll see if I can edit out the.
Yeah, I'm thinking you're not going to be able to.
No, because I'm not that experienced yet. But we're working on it, so it's going to get better. So that's fine.
Don't edit out the dogs.
Don't edit out the dogs.
You can't edit out the dogs.
Can't edit out the dogs.
And just so everyone knows, one's name is Zeus. That's baby kangaroo's little dog. And then we have a chocolate lab named Remy.
Remy. She's the best.
And y'all are going to get another. You're getting a red lab, right?
We are. We're getting a Fox Red Lab the 20th of this month. Well,
Yeah,
the week of the
The
20th.
week of the 20th.
So there will be a new addition to the family, which is going to be great.
Has it already been born?
Yes.
Yes, he was born in December.
Have y'all
December
seen him?
8th. I have some pictures.
We got a picture of
The
a group of them, but we don't know which exactly
Puppy
one.
cuddle huddle.
How many of them were Fox Red?
All of them.
All of them.
Oh, all of them.
Yeah.
So it must have been a Fox Red mom and dad.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, so then, because y'all are getting them from the same breeder that you got Remy from, so is it going to be any relation whatsoever to Remy?
No.
No.
Okay.
No. Completely different.
Step brother, not half brother.
Not even stepbrother, because her parents were both chocolate labs, and his parents are both Fox Red.
That's why I say step brother. Adopted brother? I don't know.
Adopted brother. You can go with that.
It's fine. It's not like Remy's really our daughter anyway, but
Yes, she is.
see. And I like my dog but more than I like my own son, so that's fine. What is it? Huntsfield's Kennel?
Yes.
So just again, if y'all are still here, we are going to post a link to them as well. They're in Mississippi. Just so y'all can see what we're talking about. Because, like I said, I got a list of things. So I've got, you said your video gaming keyboard, half keyboard, quarter keyboard thing was something Razer?
It's a Razer Tartarus Pro.
Tartarus, all right.
They make 2 versions of it because I like spending money. I bought the more expensive one.
Oh, there we go. So
I don't know what the difference. I think they say the difference is the keys. They're both mechanical, but the one that I bought does not have a clicky feel to it, which there are some people that love really clicky keyboards and others that hate clicky keyboards. I don't really have a strong feeling about it either way, but.
All right. So, yeah. So, you're still here. Like I said, we do have an Instagram, Pawn Shop of Life. And I'm going to post, I got a few things I'm going to post. I'm going to post the keyboard, the gaming mini keyboard thing that you use for Diablo. We're going to post a link to maxroll.gg for the Diablo players who are looking for some pretty damn good builds. Gemstone, we're going to do a link because you brought up Bill Rogers Shooting School, Disgruntled Sailor podcast, and Huntsfield Kennel for our dogs.
One other thing about Diablo, if you're going to play it on a PC, I don't really recommend a multi-monitor PC because you're going to end up dragging your mouse off your main screen. and then everything's gonna go wonky. Trust me, it's a learning process. I'm still learning.
No, it's going to be fun whenever we do the drunken episode. Drunken Pawn Shop of Life. That's going to be interesting.
There are a lot of colorful expletives that are uttered whenever we play Diablo.
What? No way.
I know, right?
It's fucking
It's a
crazy.
Shocker.
It's a fun time to just get with a group of people and talk shit. And we've met a lot of amazing people, and those people have become really close friends, and we've never actually met in person.
Oh, damn, I wish, why didn't you bring that up when we was talking about it? Maybe they don't maybe these people aren't fucking listening to us after now. Because, I mean, we met Very Nice and Dave and Mike and Jelly Bean and Very Nice. Like, if he asks, he's like, hey, I want your user information, your password for anything, really, I would trust him with it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I mean, I'd known him for, 15 years. Like,
yeah, and
we used,
I met my absolute very best girlfriend.
oh, yeah, that's right.
Because
Fucking
you were friends with her husband.
met online.
Gears of War?
No, oh my God, Rainbow Six.
Rainbow Six. That's
Rainbow
right.
Six.
And
Yeah.
then we met his wife, and she's like literally my best girlfriend ever in the
Yeah.
entire world.
Yeah.
And
Hell, they let me live with them for 3-4 weeks or some shit whenever
Yeah.
I first transferred. So yeah,
I have two very dear friends that live in Massachusetts that I met through Gemstone, and it's the same thing. They come down here probably once a year, stay with us for a week, and instead of them coming down next year, I'm
You're
going up there next year.
you're going to Massachusetts. They allow your kind in Massachusetts. Is that what you're telling me?
I gotta buy some. I gotta check on whether or not I can carry it there.
I'm not sure you're allowed in that state. Just like we're not. Neither one of us are allowed in California.
I'm not. I gotta see if they have reciprocity with Louisiana.
It's Massachusetts. So the answer is no.
Well, then I guess I can, unload it and stick it in my lockbox.
Yeah, you have to look into the.
Because given the events of last night, or actually yesterday morning.
So, yeah. All right. So today is January 2nd, and we do want to give a shout out to all of the people that were hurt, injured, family members, all that good stuff affected by the apparently terrorist attack in New Orleans on New Year's Day. That was, you know what? I think that can come up in one of our politics government podcast at some point in time too, because I mean I'd like to talk about 9/11 because you were in the Coast Guard in 9/11 and I joined the year, well obviously it happened in 2001. I joined in 2002 and it was, I have reasons why I joined, but it made me more proud after that happened that I joined the military. But that was a heinous.
Do you still remember where you were when you got the news?
Yes, I had actually just woken up. Tammy was waking me up saying, hey, some weird shit just happened in New York. You need to get the fuck up. And the first thing that I did was logged online. And again, this is 2002, so internet's not that great. There's not that much shit going on. So I was scouring the internet and some,
meanwhile, I'm right behind him watching it on TV. But
well, it was TV. You don't trust TV.
I was on Chandelure at the time, and I mean, I still remember vividly. I was standing on the bridge, and Beck Hammontree came running up. He's like, Joey, somebody flew a plane into the World Trade Center. And I was like,
what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Yep.
I thought, because there's a World Trade Center in Miami, and so I thought it was in Miami.
Oh, shit.
He's like, you got to come and see. And I came down, and I got down just in time to watch the second plane fly into the other World Trade Center.
That's when I'd woken up. She woke me up, and she's like, yo, some shit just went down, and I had that, it was just enough time to wipe the shit out of my eyes and get to the TV and fucking be like, oh, shit, let me look at the internet. And then I turn and look at the TV, and then bam, that second plane hit.
And then everything changed. And the whole world changed.
The whole world changed.
Yeah, it's we can talk about that at some other point in time. But
and to your point about
the New Orleans thing,
heinous
crime.
Our hearts go out to the people that
Yes.
were killed and their families, and the ones that are injured and their families. And I'm not saying that anybody else agrees with me on this, but if you support what that man did, you're evil. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is.
I agree. That's a heinous crime, and while I'm just glad that it ended the way it did for him. He's not going to be a martyr. He's not going to be. Nobody's going to praise his name.
Oh no, there are people who are trying to now.
They're going to try. It's not going to happen. There's that handful of people who's going to be like, that guy was a great guy. I'm glad it ended for him like it did, because that's just heinous.
And
Even-
but our focus is going to be on those
Yeah.
wonderful poor people who are just out enjoying their life and enjoying the freedoms of our country, and they didn't deserve that. And so our thoughts and
Nobody
prayers
deserves that.
No.
go out to everyone who's been affected by it.
Have it's y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump out on a limb here and say that y'all probably haven't seen any videos of that, have you?
Of the actual,
Yeah.
yeah,
No.
I have.
You've
Oh,
seen some
I
videos?
haven't.
Whatever they've, that from like the security cameras and stuff that they've
Have you-
released and posted.
Okay, so there are other videos. There's it's what had happened on Bourbon Street right by Canal.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were people on the. I've seen videos now of people on the balcony. Obviously, if you can imagine being on the balcony, you're looking at because we like to crowd watch.
Yeah.
That's a fun times to fucking crowd watch. But I've got people who have their cell phones and they're like crowd watching, and there are people who have video of that truck. Like, hey, what the fuck is that? And then they just follow the video of the truck coming in there mauling people. There's places you can see videos like that. I don't suggest a whole lot of people go because I don't think there's a whole lot of people that can stomach shit like that. But I've seen the videos of this truck plowing into them at high rate of speed and plowing over them. There's dead bodies in the road. It's atrocious to fucking look at. I don't suggest everybody go look at it. It's evil. There's war. There's always been war. There's always going to be war. There's always going to be fucked up shit. And I believe in a fair fight, and I don't care if it's a fair fight. But when you're driving a truck at a high rate of speed to cause some type of terroristic event, fuck you, man. You're a piece of shit. You do not fucking do shit like that. If you're mad about something and you want to fight one guy one-on-one, I don't fucking care. But if you're going to plow a truck into a bunch of innocent people trying to have fun, you're just an absolute piece of shit. And I don't give a damn who you are. You're more than welcome to find me, and we'll hash it out any way you want to, because that's just garbage. You don't fucking do that shit.
It's just a coward move. And
It
that,
is.
That guy probably would have been suited for therapy.
Oh, he needed therapy. He needs more than therapy. Yes.
All he needs now is a pine box.
I don't even think he's worth a box.
Oh, you just want to put him in a grave in a sack and
No.
I don't even
not
care.
even mark it?
I don't even care if they bury him. They could throw him
What-
in the Mississippi for all I care.
Give him to the alligators in the swamp.
Absolutely.
Oh, I don't know if I want to do that to alligators.
I don't know if I want to do that to the alligators. I was just thinking the exact same thing.
I don't know. I mean, we all eat blue crabs, and you know what blue crabs are? Roaches of the fucking
Scavengers.
roaches. That's all
But
they
they're
are.
so delicious.
Oh shit!
I think the DOGs are saying that they've had enough of not having any attention.
Oh jeez. All right. Well, we can go ahead and put this to an end. I think we've done long enough.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap it up. So here, that was the after hour show. We've voiced a couple of opinions that we probably wanted to get off our chest. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say thank you for listening to the after hour show. Thank you for listening to the podcast. This is gonna go somewhere, we believe.
We appreciate you.
We
Yeah.
do appreciate you. Thank you.
To our listeners, we say. That's right. We applaud you for listening and putting up with our bullshit this fucking long. So, again, thanks for listening to the podcast. Thanks for listening to the After Hours show. We should do one about every 2 weeks as long as I can figure out everything. Maybe get a little help from my semi-permanent and half co-hosts. Again, this is Pawn Shop of Life. I am Brad BCG, my mostly permanent co-host, Baby Kangaroo, and part-time co-host, Tammy B48. So I almost said, my goodness gracious. All right, y'all have a good one, and we'll see you next time.